Right now in this video, we are going to do the last part of adding Firebase authentication. First part, we did the deployment to Firebase hosting. We also deployed a JSON server, which we had to do some workaround because JSON server, we cannot be able to write to db.json on production. So it's best suited for development. So in this particular section, we will create a Firebase authentication to ensure that the app is protected, right? So for that, we'll start by building some component for sign up and registration. So let's build the sign up and registration component. So we'll go here under pages, we write new page, we call it sign up .jsx, and another one called sign in. So this one will just react component, and we write here sign up. And so of course we're going to create a form for signing up, and we'll create another one called signing.jsx. For the signing.jsx, we are going to do the same. Something else that is very important is we need to have a layout file. So we'll have layout.jsx. So layout.jsx is going to contain the entire layout of the application. So that means we will put in the header part. So we will include the header part of the application here, and the other part. So we'll also have something called an outlet, which is going to be inside of the main component. Basically what we are doing here is we need to create some clients and routing so that we can be able to protect some pages or some views from being accessed without credentials. So we need to do npm install React router. React router DOM. Do we need React router DOM or React router? Let's see. Let's see if it's going to contain what we are looking for. So let's give it a bit of time. Let's see if we can get outlet. So we need an outlet from React router. And then we also need to create some routes. So I'll create a file called routes under utils. I'll create routes.js, and I will export default const routes. I'll just export routes. And the routes we're gonna have to create browser router. So create browser router where we're going to add the various routes. First one is going to be the path, which is going to be like the default path, but we'll have an element which is going to be the layout that we are adding there. And then we'll have children. Children will have a path. So we'll have the default path, which we can call it landing, or maybe we can just redirect that to sign in. So let's say sign in is going to be the default route. It's the pages sign in. Sign up. Sign up. And of course we'll have the other one for register. Register. So we have those two routes. We also have other routes like tasks. We also have projects, but projects is not gonna be like a page. But we can have another one here for tasks. Tasks. Let's see. Okay, exporting here tasks. So we'll have that one for tasks. So the one that we want to protect is the task. So we don't want people to add tasks if they're not signed in or registered. So now that we have these routes, we can go ahead and go to app.context and replace everything that we have over here with what we called browser route. Browser route. What are we? Router provider. So that is what we are looking for. And router, we get it from routes. That's all we need for the landing page of the app. So now if we come here and do npm or npm run dev, we should be able to see our default landing page to be. Okay, we are having some issues here. JSX syntax is disabled and should be enabled by the parser option. We have a dependency issue. Fields to run dependencies, cleaning, failed to scan dependencies, unexpected JSX expression, and that is because of the way we are naming the layout here. We should name it as layout. So which check on the routes again. Should you place there? So with that. Let me try to run this again. So that is working. So you can go back to the browser and see okay. What we are going to have still the same issue under routes, utils route, syntax error. Probably what we need to have here is not JSX, but we can rename this to JSX. Does not exist. So we'll see. And we go to up, we look at up, and let's run this again. Run it again. Okay. Let's refresh the page. Are you having any errors? Register is not defined. Route number 18. So this should be sign up, not register. Sign up and not register. All right, so headers, please use new operator. This DOM object instructor cannot be called as a function. Okay. We need to import this. So that is the problem. So we refresh. And now we are having that. So we are able to see signing, and we can style signing a bit to make it a bit more presentable. So we can see here, or actually you can go to the layout and give it a class name. Let's call items center. Does that give us? Put that in the middle, and then we can go to the signing and replace this with a form. And this form should be a card. And this card should have a div field group input text type. continue and have also a password. Password, and we need to have a button that submits this form. Button, sign in. Yeah, so this is a good form. And this button should be solid button. Solid BTN. So these are just custom classes that I defined. And then we also need to have a title like H3 says sign in, maybe a paragraph. Please enter your email and password to sign in. Right, so we can increase maybe the font size here, the class name, text 3XL, border, bottom, border B. And my to be 3, our py. You probably can also say the border should be gray. Softer border. That is our signing button. You can have also Google Sign Up. You can also include signing with Google. You can have another button here, or we can just include it here. Button type, button, sign in with, or just Google Sign in. Google Sign in. So you can either do Google Sign in or just sign in here. So now that becomes our sign info. Let's probably say here BG to be white. All right, so we'll deal with aesthetics later. So I guess we're just gonna do a Google sign in for now. Now we also need to track the currently logged in user. So for that, we will create something called a context so that we can manage the user state. So for that, we will go here and write something called, create a folder called contexts, and we're going to create a file here called out context or user context. So .jsx, and you're going to export const user context we'll do create context, and then because we are going to be using Firebase authenticator, we need also to install Firebase. So we come here and do npm add Firebase into the mix. When we add Firebase, it's going to give us a few things that we can use to manage the user and to also control who is authenticated. So create context. So let's continue and add some default user context provider. So this is just a component that is going to be a provider. It's gonna run into the function npm npm maybe we can npm fields to just fix that error. So we just approve that npm run dev. So from here again, by default the user is going to be now. So in here we are going to create a state called user set user will be equals to use state, and we can again use effect. This effect is going to give us a way to keep checking if the user is signed in or not. So in here we're going to return on out state changed, which basically takes in an out, and for us to create that out we need to do a few things. We need to configure Firebase. Firebase authentication client. We'll need to download something from here. We need to go to the settings and go to general settings and go to our data list application, and we need to copy all this information, and inside of services here we come and create Firebase service.us, and you can paste that the API keys and all of that information, potentializers, analytics. We don't want analytics. What we want here is cost export, cost out, get out, and now get out is what we will be using in the context. So we need this out from that, and then we're gonna be getting a user back, and we can set this user. And then these are normal components, so it can return what we call user context dot provider, and the value of this is going to be user. Yeah. Now, because this is a provider, we need to get a prop here called children. These children will be rendered inside of that. Now that gives us a user context, and then we can also do another export function, and this function is going to call use user. Basically returns create context, that context. So now that gives us our user context, and we can now use this user context again to make it. We need to wrap this whole thing out provider inside of user context. So user context provider can wrap everything under inside of user context provider. And so now for this to work, we need to for signing, regular signing, put pages, sign in, and we can create two functions. Function one is going to be handle sign in, because it's going to be handled by a form. We need to event default, and then of course we can capture event.target, so that log we can make this asynchronous, and down here you can see alert sign in with email and password. So what we need to pass here is out, because this function takes in, I need to import it first. It takes in what? Firebase. We need to import it from Firebase out. Sign in with email and password. Yes, it takes in out, and then we can pass in email value and dot password. Of course, we can try catch. So we can catch any error. So I'm not gonna do the handling right now. I will do the handling right now. But once this is done, will be signed in. Okay. But of course, we can't sign in if we don't have a registration form. So we need to first of all create an account. Let's have a register. Please enter your information. Enter your register. We can start by collecting the full name. Placeholder, full name, and also email, and also password. So because I just want to make this quick and easy, I'm not dwell so much on the styling part. So I'm doing a lot of copy pastes because focus here is just to add authentication, but we can't add authentication without the username, without the password. So we're going to create user with email and password. User with email and password. So this requires out email password, and because we're gonna get, it's going to give us back this will give us back user credentials, so we can see so once we get the user credentials, we can update. So user credentials dot user dot or maybe we can just do wait date current user. Health, and you can pass in what you want to make, like a display name. One dot full name one. What else? I think that is basically it for now. So let's sign up, and I'll sign up, but you're gonna test this using Meet. sign up. This sign up, we are gonna test it using the emulator. So for us to be able to use the emulator, we need to go back to this and include emulator. So emulator, connect out emulator, requires us to pass the out, and it requires us to pass the emulator URL. So http localhost at port 1999. That is our emulator server. So we can run the emulator server inside of this. Go to Firebase emulator start only out. All out emulator. So we just want to test whether our application is able to sign up a user, sign in a user. Then we see how we can protect the tasks. So I didn't think. So what we are trying to achieve here is, on a different video, we managed to deploy React app hosting, and we also deployed the JSON server. This is the data, but for this we did a workaround. And then now finally what we are doing is to add the authentication, which is what we're doing right now. So the emulator, the auth emulator is now running, and we can monitor the users from here. Okay. So right now we don't have any users. What if now we try to sign up? We'll come here and change the URL to sign up. So we check sign up. Get out is not defined. So get out, we need to report get out in our Firebase service. It is not defined. We need to import it. As it's imported, what does it take? It takes in the Firebase app. We will leave it start, and then we refresh. It says use state is not defined under user context. The contexts, we need to import use state and React. What else is not functioning? We also have other things like for error response router default error boundary. So that means that we don't have a route for sign in. So we'll go to the utils, we check the routes. So we need to change this to sign up. You can get that URL working. So again, we have this context. State change is not defined. Line number 16. We need to import these as well. Firebase. Okay, now we have the registration form. And for us to register, we need to enter a name. So Moas, password here is tada password tada wd3. So when we click, we get here bad requests. And does it say what does it say? Out missing password. It's missing password. Sign up. We are missing password. Yeah. Should be password value. And that means there's somewhere else we did a mistake. Password value. Okay. Julius Moss, email is the same. Tada. 3. Yeah, so you know the emulator is running when you see this. It's already attached. So register. We still have something cannot read properties of undefined reading config handle sign up line number 13. Line number 13. So it's an error. Do we have any new users? Yes, actually have a user. The one I just ordered right now. So it's on the update. The update part is the one that is not working. So we will try and run the update in a different way, a different kind of way. Don't worry about this. So upper update. We await update current user. Update display or updates email metadata password profile update profile, and the profile that we want to update is for user credential dot use, and what we want to update here is display name. Very important. So we want to update. Let's see if this is gonna work. So register. Let's just refresh. Say Julius Moss. So tada 1 2 3. I'll change that. So we should have like a success message or something, which we should redirect this to the sign-in page. We should redirect to the sign-in page. We should also communicate and say that we are actually monitoring signing up. So we can click a state here called loading, set loading, and this can be a use state. So we can disable. By default it's not loading, so that means we can disable our button here. based on loading. You can also change our text here to be check if it's loading. Let's just press here signing up. Signing up. So that is a good one. And then we also want to ensure that we navigate the user. You can also navigate the user to the sign-in page after registration. So after this is done, you can navigate to sign-in. Navigate that to sign-in. And then, okay, on sign-in as well, we can navigate the user to the tasks. So we check on the routes. This is also called tasks. So we want, after signing, successful signing, we can navigate the user to the tasks. So let's do a lot of this copy pasting. Well, copy pasting. So that and with that, and I'm just trying to rush through. And disabled and submit and sign in. After successful sign-in, we get to tasks. So looks like we did a successful sign-ins, but we can try that again. We can try that again by deleting the users. And the smalls. Down 1, 2, 3, register. It tells us that there is no sign-in page. So I think we should create a sign-in page. Or sign-in route. We should create a sign-in route. So we're just gonna copy and paste this because we might have a different landing page. So again, we'll try again. Clear users. Okay, we need to sign up. You want sign up. It will redirect us to sign in. Not sign in, but sign in. Redirect us to sign in. Not sign in. Sign in, not sign in. So we need to ensure that that process is smooth. So we go to register, sign up. Sign up, we'll create a user. 3. register, takes us to sign in. Ta-da. 3, sign in, takes us to the tasks. And that is basically the entire flow. The entire flow. But that doesn't mean that our route is protected. Here we have a current user, and we can use our current user. We can go here in the tasks, or we can actually even go to the header and have a place here that we are going to see the username. So here we can say const user equals to use user. So when we use user, we can check if the user is defined. We have a user, and we can say link or li class name x3 ui2, and we can have the display name, so user dot display. It just shows that we actually have a user who's logged in. So check contexts. Context is 13. If I say console.log, user, it tell me, it will give me my thing, what I want to see. Yeah, this is what I want to see. Do you have a display name? Display name. Yeah, so our header here should be able to see the user. Some reason we are getting that as undefined, meaning we should get this from state. I don't want to listen from here because it's already 80. What I'm avoiding to do is to repeat this. What I'm avoiding to do. But to save time, you might need to just do it. Let's just need to do this. Yes, one time. To save one time. Has to save one time. Okay. So that can show us the user who is logged in. Okay. It shows the user who is logged in. And because now that can show us, it doesn't mean that. So you can also put even the logout button can be followed by a logout button. Go ahead and include maybe logout button. Logouts. Can just be another click out. Can have the function of logout. It's now this we just call sign out. Yeah, sign out here. Let's call sign out from there. Does it take out text out? Yes, I can even have the sign out. So you see, when the user is signed out, we are still able to access create task, which shouldn't be the case. This should be a protected route, so we need to create another component here called protected. This component will protect our route, so you can see export default protected function, and now in a protected function we can have a state that checks the loading. So const loading set loading equals to use state to use the loading first and use it, and we can check what we call can be running, so we can keep checking something else here. Const user use user, and because we are checking use user, we can run this every time use user, and we can be checking things like if user, not user, or if user equals to, it's not equals to undefined. Let's just have it's allowed. It is allowed. So by default the person is not allowed. So set is allowed. Equals to user equals to undefined and user not equals to none. And then I can come here and say return. Now we'll do two things. We'll do a conditional awareness if allowed in the output. And navigate something navigate to sign in, get to sign in. So basically that, so now this protected route, we can put every route, like now this route needs to be protected. Because it needs to be protected, we can surround it with a path called with an element. The element that we are putting here is protected. Now this protected element will have children, and it will list all the children that are protected. Like for example, and there. That will ensure that anytime we try to access tasks that a user being signed in, it will always take back to sign in. Okay? We cannot access tasks directly until we sign in. Until we are signed in. We're not signed in, but we are not able to access the tasks. So we need to delay it a bit. That is, I think that is where the loader was coming in. So loading. It is not loading. It is allowed. So a concept as long as it is equals to undefined. It's loading. See? Let's try to refresh. Need to some better logic. Better logics here. Console log. Yes. Got context tray. Generally tasks. Can you give us the users? Investigating undefined, 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 undefined. Yeah, I should actually use context. I was wondering what is this? Use context. That works. We can now access that as long as that. So if I log out and I try to access tasks, I get thrown out, right? If I sign in, I go directly to the tasks. So now that is what we are looking for. Now we have managed to protect that. So the other thing that we need to do is to at least filter depending on the user. Before I go to that, I want to change this. I'm repeating myself, so use user. That okay. Now we are able to. Now the other thing is we need to filter this based on who posted, because everyone is posting for everyone. So we need to go to change several things to make sure that this is now working depending on what we are looking for. So we need to again go to here and not there but to the form, tasks form. This handle cancel. So the handle, the adding and all those things are handled inside of CRUD. There's a hook here that I created for use CRUD. So this is use CRUD. We can ensure that actually I can go to the service. The service here, every time we post, we can get the current user. It's this what we call the bearer token. We can try to get the out token from here. Because we'll be using the token to identify the user. So let's just save the token on local. So on signing, we get a token and save it. So here on signing, after we sign in, to get our credentials. The credentials, that's what you're going to get out of this here. And so if we're gonna get the user credentials from this, it means that we can do what we can do here. User credentials. Provide the ID. Okay, we can also do const results equals to wait, get get ID token. User credentials dot user. Can press refresh. This can give us back ID token, which is a string. So we can say use the token, and we can store that in the local storage dot set item. Okay, and save it as token. Because in the API client we are passing in the token all the time, we can be able to identify who the user is. So that is it. That would mean that in our backend we need to implement the logic for checking if the API has the right credentials. We can block here if the user doesn't have the right credentials. We can block the user. So here we can check. The request dot it includes API. You need to check the credentials. So you need to const authorization request dot headers dot authorization dot replace. So if there's no authorization, not requested headers authorization, or request headers dot authorization that includes there. It doesn't include there, then we can just say again if it includes. So here we can just say next, and then if it includes that, if it doesn't include that, or can include that, it doesn't have authorization, it doesn't contain the bearer token, or verify ID token. The ID token that you want to verify is request.headers authorization that replace bearer with none. Under this return it runs a promise. So we should be able to await. So we should be able to await the validations. We are awaiting verify ID token. If any of those happens, we can do respond. We can status four, 3. For 3. For 3, and we can actually send error that says unauthorized. This basically checks if the credentials are there, and then when we are getting we need to get user equals to out use we need to pass down the user. So if this is okay, then we need to say session which session I need to pass in. Okay, and Google that. Express middleware. So we need to pass the user through the middleware. So we can have the request user user. We pass it next, and we can get it from here. So so because you're gonna do a return here. Request.user equals to so the token here should give us what we are looking. Alright. We're gonna have to write a lot of statements in this one attack. Let's have that first. Let's have that if statement. Then we can now have post trade cost await. Does it give us back the decoded ID token? So we're gonna get the decoded ID token. Not wait, when I get if the token is valid, the promise is fulfilled with the token's dedicated claims, otherwise the promise is rejected. So we'll do a try catch up. Wait. So we try catch error. So in our catch tukipata kuna error, we'll just do another return kama hii. Just do another return like that. But kama it doesn't have any errors to catch, we can get user credentials dot actually that is the user. Let's say request.user is equals to that. Okay. Now that we have that, we can now fetch. If we are getting resources, we can get filter resources. So filter arrow dot uid is equals to request that user dot so that can give us what you're looking for. So itatupatia hiyo. Kuja hapa tukitafuta data, tukifind it do two things. And uid equals to request id dot uid. just restrict UID. Tukijaribu kufanya post, pia kwa post tuna include UID. To request that user.uid. Tukijaribu ku update we also need to filter here and then UID everywhere we go, and then we will see and UID equals to so yeah, so I can test these scenarios. Test all the scenarios. You can test all the scenarios. So here we can run both the function and the out. That is backend. So we can again go back to our .env and test this locally before we deploy things. So give it a bit of time to shift that. So yeah, so adding credentials. So again, just recap, we are adding Firebase authentication. So initially we had done deployment and deployed both the JSONs server or backend that persists our data, and we also had deployed to the hosting to Firebase. Now we are trying to add authentication to protect the user data. So our application is now running both the authentication and that. We can confirm if we have any users. We don't have any users. So that means if I try to access the tasks, I will be thrown outside to sign in. If I try to sign in, I will not be able to. You can see user not found, so I need to register. Okay, let's just handle those errors. Let's just handle those errors. We can have an error set error. There's going to be none. If we find any errors here, we can just say that message. It's not gonna be a friendly error. And before we do that, we can always be clearing the error first. We come here and check if any error. We can display div has a bg of red. Red 200 with a text. Just text be that the p of 3 displays the error. Displays the error. You can do the same for sign up and the rest. Error loading error. Just to make everything, just to communicate with the user. The user needs to be aware of what is happening. The user needs to be aware of what is happening. We also need a way to switch between sign up and sign in, so we need to add a button right over here. Flex. And this button should actually be the class of flex grow by 1. You can have here another button, even a H. Link to sign up. Create user. Class should be a type of a button. Let's just save it on a link. Okay. And they should have items and gap of 5. Okay, so sometimes you can just choose to create a user and already have an account. And then here we can just say sign in. Gonna say how. Okay, missing out on this link. Yo, pesa kasema kopa na account naenda hapo. Kama ukienda kuipata da 1 2 3, yeah, user not found. Okay, so it means that you have to create a user, and the user I'm gonna create is that da 1 2 3. Maybe it's a time to register. Da 3, sign in. We are in. to also specify, we are getting an error here that says forbidden for 3. Yeah, for 3 reviews hajulikani. Tuangalie, do we have any error forbidden? We can go back and see how our cloud function is faring. Can try to figure out. Okay. Oh, sorry, what is happening? Because it's going through this middleware. So we can try and log this authentication to angalia what does it contain. Console.log that was, if I look at my network here, I should be seeing some authentication headers being passed. First of all, do we have anything on the local storage? Yeah, have the token. So in this core network, we should also be having a token being passed, which I'm not seeing. That is why we are getting a 4-3. So we need to go to our API service and evaluate what you're doing over here. We'll convert this to function state. So we will convert this to a function. Why? Why? Because it needs to be called. Second network to one. The task now, yeah, we are getting the bearer token is being sent. But then we are still getting a forbidden. Are you able to get it? We are able to grasp it. So we have bearer. So that means we have bearer. It means in our backend, this is passing because we are getting authorization, and it also includes bearer. So what is not happening sasa ni hapa. Console.log e. Console.log e. So log e, so refresh, try to get something out of it. That's the error. The error is simple, is that the default Firebase app does not exist. So we need to be able to create a Firebase app. For that to happen, we have to download something here from Firebase. We have to come here and download. Oh god, is a service account. Actually, that is what I was looking for. I need to download a service account. And when I download a service account, from it I'm just gonna have to create to initialize an app. Anyway, I'll just generate and risk stop. We have already overwritten this application, so okay. Now what? I need to copy this to my project, so it comes here and move it. Downloads. Because I want to move it to this folder. So now I can come here and create an app in my backend. I require this, so we will not have this out there. Because we have specified service account is supposed to be in the path join your name and the service account name, everything is like a private key, my friend. You shouldn't be sharing this public. Okay, should be shared public. So we initialize the app. Now we can do const to admin dot username. Hopefully that is going to create the app that we are looking for. So auth. Here we have this. We should replace it with replace all the parts. So now here we're able to say value verify token IDs. Let's see if this is going to happen. Yep. Okay, needed a service account. So what we are trying to do to add authentication to our app, and for that Firebase authentication we needed a service account which we downloaded, and then we used that service account to initialize a Firebase admin in the backend, and so that you can get authentication. Here now we are using that authentication to verify the ID token, and let's see if we are doing the right thing. So if I refresh here, because the user is not there, it will sign me out, and then I will try to sign in. It tells me the user is not found. I create an account, and I close. I'm gonna create that account. Down to 3, register one account. There, 3, sign in, and try to get the task again. I get a 4-3. Am I passing the token? Yes. And what could be the issue? It's not a function. So this is not a function. So what we need to do is, should be calling this, called like that. If you remember, call only like that. You can the error, and the token is field want. If I try to refresh here, we should be able to verify. Yes, we are able to verify the token. And because we don't have task for this user, we'll get that. So let's try to add a task here. Add this out. The process is simply great. So we post we get it back. Right. So is it persisting? Refresh. Yes, we're able to get only out. So let's try to create another person. DJ yes, and testing. Okay. Let's do thing 3. So JS Tribuna does not have task 1. I'm able to get my task 1. So if I refresh, get my task 1. I log out, log in with this guy. Now, that's how we separate concerns. And that is it. The Firebase authentication has been added to this application. We've managed to achieve our goal, and what is remaining now is to type this up and deploy it. Okay, everything is actually deploy new changes. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.